of Militaries Across the World podcast. My name is Craig, and I will be your host for this episode. Today, we'll be talking about the history of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines military. One thing that I want to say before we start is they do not have a traditional military, and their military is actually part of their police force. So, with that being said, let's start with some backstory to the island. So, by the time St. Vincent was discovered which was discovered by Christopher Columbus in January 1498, the island had been occupied for nearly 200 years by Carib Indians from South America who had subjected the original Arauca Indian inhabitants. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a multi-party parliamentary democracy. The Prime Minister is the head of government. King Charles III is head of state. Most royal functions are exercised by a Governor-General named by the Prime Minister. In 2020, Ralph Gonsalves was elected to a fifth consecutive term as Prime Minister. Regional and local observers assess the election as generally free and fair. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force is the only security force in the country and responsible for maintaining international security. Its units include the Coast Guard, Special Services Unit, Rapid Response Unit, Drug Squad, and Anti-Trafficking In-Persons Unit. The police force reports to the Minister of National Security, a portfolio currently held by the Prime Minister. Civilian authorities maintained effective control over the security forces. There were no reports that members of the security forces committed abuses. Present-day St. Vincent was succeeded to Great Britain in 1763 and was briefly under French rule from 1779 to 1796. Following a return to British rule, St. Vincent passed through a variety of stages as a colony and Commonwealth state. After a 1979 referendum, it eventually became the last of the Windward Islands to achieve independence. Today, the United States and St. Vincent have solid bilateral relations. Both countries have signed a series of treaties combating the cultivation and shipment of narcotics. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking, but is making significant efforts to do so. The government demonstrated overall increasing efforts compared to the previous reporting period. Considered the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on its anti-trafficking capacity, therefore St. Vincent and the Grenadines remained on Tier 2. These efforts include increasing investigations and increasing training for frontline health workers and tending to new vulnerability internally displaced persons, or IDPs, as well as additional awareness-raising efforts among this population. However, the government did not meet the minimum standards in several key areas. Authorities have not prosecuted a trafficking case since 2015 and has never convicted a trafficker. The government's anti-trafficking law, which allows for fines in lieu of imprisonment, was not commensurated with penalties for other serious crimes. Victim identification and services remained weak, and government agencies cited lack of resources for anti-trafficking efforts. That will be all for today, and thank you all for listening to today's episode of the Militaries Across the World podcast, and I will see you next time. Disclaimer: the information I am using for this episode was found on the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency website about the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, globalsecurity.org on their website about the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, along with the State Department website.